Under the Bridge, the podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Under the Bridge, the podcast. Thank you for joining us for another episode. My name is Nelson Latif. Our guest today is Demi Zaleskova, an artist who specializes in portrait photography, video production, and she's a dancer. Thanks so much for coming through, Demi. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, Nelson. I'm happy to be here. Super stoked.
Good stuff. Yeah. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an artist?
Yeah, sure. I don't even know where to start, I guess. I guess it started at the age of 3. I began dancing. So I was classically trained in ballet through my childhood. And I took lessons till I was about 16, kind of around that age. And then later in high school, I continued taking other forms of dance through my courses at the school and continued dancing. So I've been dancing for about 20 years. And around the time, like at the end of high school, kind of after I graduated, I started really enjoying photography, taking portraits, doing modeling, that kind of thing. And then slowly but surely tried to move that into the video world and trying to mix that kind of with music and all that good stuff now. So,
hey, good stuff. Absolutely. I understand that your passion is to create art that invokes emotion and captures the human experience, which is dope. What would you say is the most meaningful lesson you've taken from all these experiences so far?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think at the end of the day, art has such a profound impact when you're creating with other people. And so for me, the whole human experience really is where I think my creativity side starts to shine, just collaborating with other people, whether they're musicians or dancers or really whatever. It's just kind of all about the human connection, I think is, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer in a way because I could get like so deep into the philosophy behind it, but
do your thing.
Yeah, it's more just about like I just like creating with people, and I love a collaborative community. So
absolutely great stuff. I like that. I know you'll definitely collaborate with artists and stuff. And funny enough, the first time I met you was in September last year, right? Was at the Hour. And I was sitting next to someone. I remember I was enjoying myself, having a great time at this event. And someone was so excited to introduce you to me, like, hey, this is Demi. I want you to meet Demi. She put all this together. It was such a fun night, dope event. I know it was about a feature film, but I can't remember the title. Can you tell us more about the film?
Yeah. So that whole event we put on at the Owl was for a project that I was working on and that I produced. It's called The Art of Windy City. So it was a 2-part documentary funded and supported by TELUS Story Hive. So TELUS kind of has a filmmaking funding program in Alberta and BC. And they do different editions every year, different projects. And so it was my first grant that I received and was awarded with funding, mentorship, and distribution on TELUS Optic TV. So basically the project was to produce a documentary that's locally reflective and kind of like highlighting small community stories and etc. So I chose to do mine on the art community here in Lethbridge, and I collaborated with an amazing team. We had dancers, filmmakers, a couple musicians, a stencil artist, visual artists, and we all came together just to kind of, it was really to show a little bit about the community, maybe people who hadn't been featured or who had been featured and then kind of came back together as a community this time. So that was cool. Some of them had worked together previously, and then some of them were independent artists, but we ended up filming kind of a behind the scenes creator talk that we interviewed people, asking them about, what they think of the art climate here in the city and the community. And then the second part was filmed at the Owl that night. So
Great.
yeah, so everybody, like all the musicians got to perform. And then that kind of made its way into the second half of the documentary, both which are going to come out on Telesoptic TV in the fall. So
Great stuff. But the first part is out, right?
I don't think so. I think they both come out in October.
Oh.
I'm not entirely sure. October 17th is the date I've been told. But yeah, it comes out on Telesoptic TV. And like maybe on the Story Hive website or YouTube. I'll probably do another little film premiere later.
Great stuff.
Yeah, so.
Definitely come through. And I believe you also have an upcoming documentary called Kitsinooki.
Yeah.
Right. What is the meaning of Kitsinooki, and what inspired the idea of this documentary?
Yeah, so Kitsinooki is a Blackfoot word that means you see me. And this project is also funded by TELUS Story Hive. It's a similar program to the one that I did for the Art of Windy City, but it's specific to Indigenous storytellers in Alberta and BC. And so my good friend Jerry, he worked on my documentary with me, and he was really kind of like my right-hand man at some points there. He kind of always talked about wanting to get into video production. And so surely enough, he ended up applying for a grant, and they chose his project. So that's been a wild ride because it was super cool doing my first documentary, and then it led straight into fueling somebody else's project and helping. I've been honored and super grateful to help Jerry along the way. And, you know, we've really helped each other navigate this whole
like
project.
A collaborative effort between you and Jerry?
Yeah, so he's the project lead, and then he's like essentially like the producer. But he hired me to help direct and film, and then we're gonna edit and he's gonna animate it.
Wow!
So it's gonna include some animation too.
That's dope.
But yeah, Kitsinooki is all about the Indigenous hip hop scene in southern Alberta. So he's a rapper himself. And with his cousin and some of his friends,
What is stage name?
Well, it kind of goes by Jerry Jack, I guess. Okay. But him and his cousin Keegan, they produce music under the name True Apostles. Okay. So you can check them out on Spotify. They also collaborate with somebody named Javier Escuela, who's a big rapper in the city as well. He used to go by El Rev.
Yeah, I think I saw him. He walked out a fight at the Rumble in the Cage 65, the main event. Yeah.
So they've been like really big, pioneers in the hip hop scene here in the city. So I'm honored to work with them. I love hip hop music, and so I've been able to learn with them through the last few years, just kind of collaborating and working together. And now we get to help each other through film and video too. So it's super cool.
That's dope. Great stuff. Thank you. When can we expect the documentary to come out, and how can people watch it?
So yeah, the Art of Windy City is going to come out in October 2023, and it'll be on TELUS platforms. And then I'll probably share it on my own personal YouTube page. The Kitsinooki documentary comes out, I believe, in like summer 2024. So we've got a while to go. We just finished principal photography last month, and so now we're into post-production for that and focusing on editing and animating for the next few months. We'll start promoting it kind of slowly but surely. Hopefully we can actually tour. My dream for Kitsinooki, and Jerry and I have talked about this, but is taking it to other places for other people to see. With the project, we actually got to go out to the Piikani Nation School and work with children and students on the reserve. So we would love to be able to like bring that film to premiere in other locations kind of around Alberta. So hopefully it'll be at a few movie theaters kind of, or screenings somewhere. But
movie festivals, premiere and stuff. Great stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Great stuff. Do you guys have any other projects in the pipeline besides the actual documentary? Yeah,
so many. Thankfully, I have been kept very busy this summer. So doing a lot of film and video work myself. But my best friend and I, her name is Sedona, we're going to start a cooking show pretty soon. What? So that's kind of like the next big thing that's coming up in the works right away. So it's another TELUS Story Hive project as well, but it's an episodic storytelling series. I think we're going to do about like 8 or 10 episodes of a musical cooking show called Sound Bites. So you guys can keep your eyes out for that. And then, always trying to work hard and kind of do a couple other projects on the side. I'm sure there'll be more things along the way.
That's interesting, really. I know you're very passionate about dance, right? You are. I want to talk to you about dance, really. How do you incorporate your background in photography and video production into capturing the essence of dance performance?
So I think like the way I started to understand the world was through dance and through movement, and that was always a way for me to get my emotions out. And then, I think it goes back to just being a kid and like making silly videos with my friends in my basement to like Taylor Swift music videos or whatever, right? And then when I learned really what goes in behind production and video and realizing just like how technical and creative and collaborative it comes to be, that's when I really wanted to learn to like how to be on set. And like I love performing, but I also love being behind the camera and learning kind of about how to make an image come to life for other people to see. So it's always been a dream of mine to be able to produce dance and music videos. And so working really hard kind of in learning both the technical aspect, but also the performative elements that you need to bring that together.
Good stuff. Yeah. And I saw you performed at the Bounce and Cadence Symposium, right? And the name of your performance is called Noise is Normal. I like that. Can you tell us more about that? Noise is Normal.
Yeah, I could talk about this for hours. Like this is probably one of my favorite things I've done in my university career thus far. Bounce and Cadence Symposium, we were welcome to perform that piece, and that was actually my second time performing that piece. It was an original performance that was created for a class taught at the university in the previous semester. The class was called The Aesthetics of Noise and is taught by Mary Mazurek, who is a very talented audio engineer, and she's a Grammy-nominated artist from Chicago.
Wow.
So they brought her to the university, and she's kind of, I think her dissertation is just kind of being published, but a lot of her work is all about this study and philosophy of noise and like what makes music sound good versus bad, like just really some philosophical kind of discussion about it. But the aim of the end of the class was to produce some original noise work, whether that was a performance or an installation or a composition. And it was such a small class. There was only about 5 or 6 of us. So a couple of the classmates and I decided to team up and put on basically like a little noise concert.
Yeah.
So we held a performance in the recital hall, and I worked with a very talented individual who just graduated from the digital audio arts program. His name's Chris Bernhardt. He's a very talented jazz pianist, musician, and technician. So I was really grateful to, be able to collaborate with him, and he got to handle a lot of the audio side. And then I really got to focus on bringing that sound to life on stage through performance and dancing. It was a 9-minute dance piece, and it's just kind of supposed to be this sonic environment that we wanted to capture. And then we rendered it down into a 360 video afterwards too. So that was super cool to again merge video and dance and everything together. And then, we were welcome to perform back at Bounce and Cadence. And that was such an awesome opportunity, hearing about all the different digital arts research going on at the university, learning from some really talented people, and furthermore being recognized amongst some really talented individuals. We won second place at Bounce and Cadence.
Nice.
So had to plug that a little bit. But yeah, it was super cool. I love that. Like I could talk about noise forever now.
For hours.
Like it's so interesting to me, especially after taking that class with Mary. It really taught me a lot about like, what sound and music and art really means, and just questioning the meaning behind things. So.
Absolutely. It's really a different way to look at it, really. Noise is normal. That it sticks. Thank you. Do you have a specific dance style?
Yeah, so I guess I would say I'm like a contemporary dancer. People are always like, oh, I don't know really what that means, and I don't know either. Like, contemporary is a mix of everything, right? It's cool. I definitely have training in the contemporary world, modern, and coming from a very strong ballet background that really has stuck with me. I've tried to explore other styles like hip hop and breakdance, which I really enjoy as well. So I don't have like a specific style, but I guess I'd say maybe contemporary.
Absolutely. I saw on your website you have your own philosophy for your photography, which I really like. And you said the goal is to paint this world in as many beautiful colors that you possibly can. I like that a lot. Please tell us why many beautiful colors.
Yeah, first off, I have to say, like, I respect you for doing the research, and like, I didn't know people were reading my website, so it's kind of funny. I love it. Yeah, I think, like, I've always been very interested in color theory, I guess, like art, painting, mixing paints and colors and all of that. And then when I started getting into more digital photography and production, that's when I started to realize, like, what you can do with different lighting techniques and color editing or color grading. And I think for myself, I hope at least I have a goal of becoming a colorist or like a post-production, somebody who's involved in post-production. So that's taught me a lot about just the way that you capture images and the way that you can edit them. I like to really pull out the vibrant colors, very neon, dark contrast. So I let that speak into my photography and some of the video work that I do.
Yeah, it's good to know that you are almost like a jack of all trades. Because I thought you were very specific with your heart. Like when you, like for instance, when you portrait photography, and I was gonna ask you what actually drew you into that specific art form. But I see you managed to incorporate different style into what you do, which is great. But I still want to ask you, as a portrait photographer, what drew you to that specific art form?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I think it was always just like, for me, it kind of goes back to being a young kid too. Like, I just started taking pictures of my friends, and then I would put makeup on them, and we would do like really cool, creative like renditions of Alice in Wonderland. Like, I don't know, it would just be like, it's kind of fun to imagine yourself in like a character role. And I was never really an actor, but I thought like modeling is always kind of like acting. So I really like to, try and capture different emotions or vibes or themes through photography. And I thought like I kind of, the same way that you reached out to me to come on the podcast, that's how I just got my start in photography, was just like, hey, you want to be a model? Like, I just want to practice. And people were always a new fun challenge, because it took not only like knowing the theory and the technique behind making somebody look good or capturing their essence, it also, like making somebody feel comfortable and confident. And so that was kind of, I think, always such a meaningful experience for me to just work with portraits, and take pictures of people. Yeah,
making them feel confidence. I like that.
Yeah.
Which projects has been the most challenging of your career so far?
I think the most challenging project that I've done thus far was my first documentary, The Art of Windy City. That project was like my first ever big time grant that I received, with also having funding, mentorship, and then distribution attached along with that too. So, having to produce for broadcast standard is unlike anything else I had done before. So that taught me a lot about the industry and just like what you have to do to get into filmmaking. Thankfully, I had a really like solid group of people around me supporting me. My friends have been amazing, and everybody I reached out to was super interested to collaborate. And so I always felt the support of the city to keep going. But there was definitely challenges. I myself struggled to ask for help. So I was like, I'm like, I want to, yeah, right? I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to edit, I want to star, I want to color grade, I want to sound engineer. Like I tried to...
All by myself.
All by myself. And going back, being a jack of all trades, it's not that I don't like the saying, like, I'm a master of none, but I realized very quickly where my strengths were in that project and maybe where I should have asked for help or leaned on my team a bit more. But overall, like, it was such a rewarding experience, and I take it with so much knowledge, or not knowledge, pride. And then I was able to take kind of everything I learned and transfer it into another project right away, working with Jerry. So that was a cool happenstance.
Awesome. Yeah. Great stuff. I know I'm probably going to impress you a little bit more again now, because I read something on your blog, from a blog you wrote. You said a common problem in this community, Lethbridge, a lot of artists feel as though there isn't enough reason for them to stay for the advancement of their careers. I had Jared here from Roval. I'm not sure if you know him. And
I saw the episode, yeah.
Yeah, and he shared exactly the same sentiments, right? So I want to ask you, what do you think the city can do better to help and support artists like yourself?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a hard one to answer, and
so when I mean the city, I'm not talking about the government. I mean the city, the people, everybody involved, really.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Lethbridge has a really, I think, tight-knit community. Like, the downtown core is a great place to kind of be involved with, Casa, the Owl. There's all these kind of little hubs around. But I think it definitely takes people being willing to come out and support and even just put yourself out there. I understand, even myself, I feel it sometimes. There's a ceiling that you hit sometimes, and then the imposter syndrome sets in. It's like, what am I really doing, and am I making an impact? But I've really recognized the hard work that people in the city put in, and I'm so down to come out and support because I realize, like, what it takes to put yourself out there. But it's always really rewarding when you do meet other people and other creatives, and you're just able to share your common problems or your same sentiments, and just you can resonate with the small town struggles of the struggles that come in like a smaller city can be beneficial and kind of hard to get over, because like, it might be easier to break into the Lethbridge scene, but you can also sometimes feel like there's not room to progress. So I think we have to keep challenging each other in the city, and promoting growth within the communities and the groups and the people that we work with, because I definitely want the city to keep moving forward and striving forward, but it definitely takes people like wanting to show up, and I hope people can recognize like how much talent and just creativity is here in the city. It's alive and well, and being able to keep that going forward for hopefully the future. It's always the goal. But.
Yeah, that's a big point with the pros and cons of small city and stuff. And I want to ask you, for those who are new to Lethbridge, like myself even, people who are in the creative space, and they want to connect with like-minded individuals like yourself, is there like a hub, places, events you would recommend for easier access to networking and connecting?
Yeah, there's a bunch of places that come to mind. Really, I got my start in the creative community like just by going out to different shows. It unfortunately for like maybe some of the younger crowd, I think a lot of the music happens in the bar and pub scene here, but we have a lot of public performances too. So even just, going out around downtown, the Casa, Seg, the Owl, those are definitely places that have always rung true for me and that I'm super down to come out and support. There's always something going around in Lethbridge, little house shows or whatever. It's a big goal of mine, myself, while I'm kind of here finishing my degree at the university, to create a bit more of a hub. I felt like after I moved out of high school, there was nowhere for adults to go and just dance and practice their skills. So I would love to see a bit more of like a dance community that's open and supportive of people who want to just practice. And same for the film community. I know there's people who are doing their own things, but I would love to have a studio where people can come in and set up and record a podcast if they wanted to. And we need spaces like those that are accessible. But I also understand, you need the people in the space to operate them. So
And willing to come forward as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I think just get involved where you can. And I'll always support my local downtown. I'm always around here. I like to stay busy and check out the events. There's lots of stuff going on to meet people. So.
And you enjoy spending your free time cooking, exploring, and creating just about anything. Is that where the next project is coming from, the cooking show? You want to tell me more a little bit about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the cooking show. So I kind of do everything with my best friend, Sedona. Like, we're two peas in a pod right now. Bless her heart and soul. She's like stuck with me through all the crazy film projects. She's done a couple of her own projects now. And so it's super cool that we get to co-create this little cooking show now, because her and I also really, like, we're big foodies. We love cooking and creating and all that stuff. So the goal of this cooking show is to actually make a musical cooking show. Basically, where we're coming up with challenges or, kind of like goals to create recipes, but also while we're creating these recipes and for the cooking show, we also want to produce music for it. So it's kind of cooking up a little bit of everything in the kitchen with some music, some food, some film. Get to have some fun challenges and hopefully interview a few people on there too. Have some feature guests. So
absolutely, that sounds dope. I like that.
Yeah.
How do you enjoy your free time in Lethbridge?
My free time, I don't give myself a lot of free time, to be honest with you. I like to fill my time with as many creative projects as I can. I work a lot as well on like part-time jobs on the side and going to school. So
you're a full-time student as well, right?
Yeah. But I like to just go to the gym or walk around in the coulees. Those are kind of like my moments of peace. And then getting away and traveling whenever I can, hopping on a plane tomorrow. So that's hopefully some free time coming up. But
great stuff. And lastly, I want to ask you, what are you excited about the most in terms of your industry here in Lethbridge?
My industry in terms here in Lethbridge, I think I'm most excited to see kind of what the future will offer us, because after the last couple of years, all of the amazing productions that have come to Southern Alberta has given kind of a new revitalization to this area and this land. So I hope that, we can keep progressing and just seeing more of Southern Alberta, Canadian artists, Lethbridge artists on the big screen and helping promote other future youth. I am really excited. I know I'm kind of like in this transitionary period where I'm starting to see a lot of these young kids kind of take in the lead and take the reins. So I'm really excited to see all of the upcoming youth and the projects that they will produce, and hopefully giving them space and support and grace to help them produce and create more for the future as well. So
absolutely, I'm excited as well, and I'm optimistic. Good stuff. Demi, thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, good stuff. And massive thanks to every single one of you for tuning in once again, and be on the lookout for our next episode. Peace.